We have seen two types of data structures in Python till now. One is list, second is dictionary. Tuple is another data structure in Python, which is very similar to list, but the primary difference being that a list can be modified once it is created. A tuple cannot be modified once it is created, so it is not it's immutable. Fine. So let's see how tuple is created. So I can give a variable name. Let's say tuple1 and is equal to. We use round brackets to create a tuple. The values can be of any data type. I can have a mix of different data types here. So I can have one integer, one floating point, followed by a character, followed by a string. Anything is okay as long as they are all separated by commas, and the tuple ends with a round bracket. Right? So if you look at the type of the data structure now, tuple1, it will be of class tuple. Fine. So the accessing of these variables is based on index. So if I want to access any of these data items inside the tuple, I can go index wise. So this is index 0, this is index 1, this is index 2, and this is index 3. Okay. So the same concept like we would access data in a list, the accessing is same. I can also access a set of items by using the slicing method. So I can say 0 to 3, 0 to 2. So all the 0th item and first item gets returned. I can also say 0 to 4 at an increment of 2. So starting from 0th item till the 4th item incremented at 2, the index value being incremented by 2. So 0th gets accessed, number 2 gets accessed. There's no number 4 available here, so it stops at 0 and 2. Right. So this concept is similar to what you do in a list. So the accessing is very similar here. So this is, but the primary difference being, if I have created a tuple, now if I want to modify the value inside the tuple, let's say I want to change it tuple of 0 is 1, now I want to change it to 2. It will immediately say tuple object does not support item assignment. So you can't modify the value that of a tuple. Once it is created, it is fixed. So you don't change it. Right? That's the primary difference. So being that the primary difference, the number of methods available for a tuple are much limited compared to that of a list, because the list has so many methods with it, because you can modify it, you can append it, you can extend it, so many things are possible. But tuple, that is not possible. You can't modify what is created. So what operations can you perform on tuple? I can, let's say I create one more tuple. Let's say I create tuple 2 of just integers, and I can add these two tuples together in a third tuple. I can say tuple 1 plus tuple 2. So if you look at tuple 3, it will be a combination of both of them. This is the first tuple, this is the second tuple. So the plus operator basically combines the two tuples together. You can use the multiply operator too. So if I look at tuple 2 now, this is my tuple 2. I can use a multiply operator on this. I can say tuple 4 is equal to tuple 2 multiplied by 2. What this does is it repeats the tuple n number of times. So I said multiply by 2. So it means I have to repeat the same tuple twice. So 1 to 4, again repeated one more time, 1 to 4. That new value gets assigned to the new tuple that we have created here. Right? So this is how you can manipulate tuple and assign it to a new tuple. So the tuple 2 by itself does not get modified here. It just gets a new tuple gets created, and that gets assigned to this tuple 4. Right? So other than this, you can use the length unlike function on this also, like a normal list. You can have the length of tuple. You can sort the tuple. If the data type is sortable, I can have, so it's already sorted, so it's okay. So if I create another tuple, let's say with unsorted array, so I've created one more tuple here which is not sorted. So if I say sort the tuple, give me a sorted value of tuple 5, it will give me a sorted value of tuple 5. So again, these are not modifying the existing tuples. So this is just a return value. So if I want to take it to the new tuple, I have to assign it to the new tuple. So these functions are common, like what you've used in the past also, the length and the sorted. You can reverse the sort by saying reverse is equal to true. So the sorting gets reversed. Instead of lower to highest, you get highest to lowest. Right. So, or you can also, we have also seen in the past that you can use a, function instead of, you want to sort it based on a specific value. You can use a function also, right, for the sorting purpose, right? So, and with respect to the methods available in the tuple, you can look at the tuple methods. So primarily there are two methods. One is count and second is index. Fine. So count gives you the repetition count of any item. So if I have, let's say, I create a tuple with some n number of items, and I say tuple 7 dot count how many times one has occurred. It gives me the number of times any value has occurred. So if I say some other value which is not existing, it will give me 0 because tuple 7 does not have 0 inside it. Fine. The second method available is index. So if I want to find the index of an element inside tuple, I can ask the index method, pass the value for which I want to find the index. It will give me the first occurrence of the value. So tuple 1 occurs at index 0. If I ask for the value 5, it is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and fifth element. Fifth element is the number 5. Alright, so if I ask for the number 4, third element, so 0, 1, 2, and 3. Number 4 occurs first at the index 3. Alright, so that the only two methods available inside tuple because there is nothing else you can do with it. There is no modification possible. So there's only two things that you can have. You can get the count of number of elements, repetition of a certain element, and where is a certain element actually existing inside the tuple. If you want to create a new tuple and you want to take a user input uh, and add the value into the tuple, because tuple cannot be modified, there's a workaround for it. So what you can do is you can let me take a user input here. Uh, let's say I take the value 6. Now I want to put this into a tuple. So no, because if I create a tuple and I try to assign a value into it. So let's say I create a tuple here and I say a blank tuple for now. I can't do this, right? This will not be allowed because tuple cannot be modified. So how do we add a value to this? So I need to overwrite this. I can overwrite the existing tuple with add it and create a new tuple with the user input. So this is creating a new tuple uh, and this is the existing tuple. So I'm just adding both of them together, right? So now if you look at the tuple value, it has the user input that you have created and it's created a tuple out of it, fine. So that's how you can take a user input and add into the existing tuple by overwriting the previous tuple. So you can assign it like this, but you can work around it by using the add plus method. So you take an existing tuple and add add to it so that it gets overwritten with the new value. Right? You can iterate over a tuple using a for loop. That's a simple for item in, let's say, tuple 7 for example, and I can say print I. Okay, this is not so item. Okay, so a tuple 7 has these 111445, so that is the word. The same thing what you do in a list for item in the tuple, you're iterating over it. Each time it comes into the tuple, it comes in the for loop, it takes one value from the tuple and that is used by assigned to this variable. So you iterate over all the elements inside the tuple. Right? Another application of tuple we see is in a function called as zip. Now, what zip does is it concatenates two lists item wise. So let me create a list for it. As an example, let's say list one. I have one, two, and three integers, and let's say I have list two where I have the same value in string. So one, two, and three. Now I want to print it in this format. One is nothing but one, two is two by concatenating these two. That is, I want to take one element from here and one element from here and print it simultaneously. So what we can do is I can create a loop. So I can say for I in, I zip both of these list 1 comma list 2. Okay, before I create a for loop, let me show a simpler version of it. I can say zip of list 1 comma list 2. If you look at the output of this and you look at what has been zipped, you will see, sorry, I'll have to print this. Okay, it's printing the object reference. Well, let me go to the for loop itself. That probably is the easier way to look at it. For item in zip list 1 comma list 2 to the name we have given list 1 list 2. All right, and then print item of 0 plus item of 1. Sorry. Okay, that's converting into string and it's fine. All right. Still need typecasting there. Probably could just use a format string. It makes it easier. You can see what happened here is list 1 had 1 in it, list 2 had the string 1. So when I say zip, it took one element from this, took one element from this. It basically created a tuple of these two elements, all right, and assigned it to item. And when we came inside the for loop, we access them item wise, item 0 and item 1. And that what printed here, first element of first value in item is 1 colon 1. Next time it came to the for loop, it took one element from list 1, one from list 2. So list 1 has the number 2, list 2 had the string 2, so that came here 2 colon 2, so on and so forth. So when you want to combine two lists and iterate over them, you can use zip. Zip basically takes one element from each list, concatenates them into an creates a tuple out of them and loops through it. The lists need not be of same length. The looping will stop whenever one of the list ends. So whichever the shorter list, it will end at the shorter list value. So it will not iterate over it when the items are not there in the both the lists. So even if the lists are not equal length, it will still work. But only thing is, it will stop when the smaller list is over. The length of iteration will be only equal to the smaller list. Right? So that's the basics of tuple. So program wise, you can take a few examples to understand usage of tuples. Right? Uh, Thank you.